In this video, I'm going to teach you how to properly save your money, because keeping your money in a savings account is the absolute worst way to save money. But first, I need to tell you a story about something that happened to me. 3 weeks ago, I went to the grocery store to buy deli lunch meat. It cost about $7 a pound. That was 3 weeks ago. A few days ago, I went to the same store and bought the exact same thing, but the cost this time was about $11 a pound. Did the value of lunch meat go up by 50% in 3 weeks? I don't think so. So what happened? There's a lot of stuff that's been going on, but for now, let's just focus on one thing: supply chain issues. Supply chain issues make it difficult for stores to keep things in stock, which drives up the demand, which can drive up prices. What's causing the supply chain issues, you might ask? A severe shortage of delivery drivers, due to many of them not returning to work after being laid off due to the C-19 thing that I can't name on YouTube. Why are delivery drivers not going back to their jobs? Stay with me here, it's going to get interesting. The government basically airdropped free money to everyone and gave them unemployment benefits during C-19, and in many cases, that income was more than people were earning at their jobs. People got paid more to stay home and do nothing than they were getting paid by their employers. So what would you do if you got laid off and your unemployment benefits plus stimulus money was more than your regular paycheck and suddenly your job became available again? Most people wouldn't go back to work until their benefits were exhausted, right? That's what most people did. But that's not all that happened. Lots of people actually went back to work, and now they were able to telecommute full time. They're saving on gas, travel time, daycare, and they can pet their dogs while they're working, or work with the kid on their lap. But then the workplaces started calling people back to the office, and what do you think happened then? Some employees went back, but others said they don't want the job if they can't work full time from home. Instead, they found different jobs that let them telecommute full time. For example, delivery drivers quitting and taking a telecommute job. Kind of see where I'm going with this? But the places that those delivery drivers were delivering to still need the same amount of stuff delivered to them in order to keep their prices reasonable. Meanwhile, shipping companies are now having to pay the remaining drivers more money, not only to incentivize them to work more, but also to keep them from leaving their jobs. In order to pay them more, they have to increase the price of their shipments. So now grocery stores have to pay more money to receive less inventory, and they still have to maintain their profit margins. Which means I have to pay 50% more today for the same amount of lunch meat that I bought 3 weeks ago. So why am I telling you this? And what does this have to do with saving money? Well, now I have to explain a bit about how money works. Stick with me here. The lights will come on soon enough. Here's an example. Imagine a factory that makes widgets for $1, and another company, we'll call Company A, that needs to use these widgets in their products. Company A borrows $1 million from the bank in order to buy 1 million widgets. The bank creates $1 million out of nothing. It's true. Look it up. Out of nothing, to lend to Company A. Company A pays the $1 million to the factory, who then builds 1 million widgets and delivers it to the company. Does that all make sense so far? So in theory, all currency in circulation should be directly tied to some goods that were produced. If we have $1 billion worth of goods, then it stands to reason that there's $1 billion of currency in circulation. Does that make sense? Okay, as long as currency is created to purchase goods, the system works. Company A builds their products, for example, and sells them to Company B for $2 million. Company B borrows $2 million from the bank, who again creates it from nothing, to pay for the goods from Company A. Company A then pays back the $1 million to the bank, plus interest from their profits. Company B uses Company A's product to generate the income needed to pay their bank the $2 million plus interest. And the cycle continues over and over. This is basically how our entire financial system works today. But here's where it gets weird. In theory, the sum of all currency should represent the total value of all goods produced. So if we've produced $1 billion worth of goods, it stands to reason that there's $1 billion of currency in circulation. It's a little more complicated than that, but let's keep it simple for now. Here's an example. Suppose the United States GDP, which kind of represents total goods produced, is $1 billion, and we have $1 billion of currency in circulation. But then a natural disaster occurs, and it takes $1 billion of currency to repair the damage. The Fed basically prints $1 billion out of nothing for the repairs. No goods have been produced in exchange for this $1 billion. You still with me? Now there's $2 billion of currency in circulation, but only $1 billion worth of goods. So what, you say? Here's what. The value of your currency has just been cut in half. It now takes twice as much currency today to buy the same stuff you used to buy before the disaster occurred. That cheeseburger Happy Meal just went from $5 to $10 in the blink of an eye. But your paycheck didn't double with the increase in money supply. So heck, it didn't even increase at all, for that matter. This is a very simplified description of what we call inflation. It's when the money supply increases faster than the production of goods. That's the part they don't teach you in school. Everyone has experience with inflation, but most people have no idea why we have it. Okay, back to the original topic, how to save money and why bank accounts suck. The short answer, bank accounts suck because of inflation. Let's say I put $10,000 into a bank account and left it there for 50 years for my grandkids to have some money after I'm gone. With an inflation rate of 5% and banks paying interest of only 0.1%, in 50 years you would have about $10,512. But that money will only be able to buy you what you can get today for about $872. It will have lost over 90% of its purchasing power. But get this, as of today, the current inflation rate is not 5%, but 7.48% and rising. That means a $4 gallon of gas in just 20 years will cost over $25, assuming inflation doesn't go higher between now and then. So it's not necessarily bank accounts that suck, but the money you keep in your bank account. Let's look at it a different way. Suppose at age 25, you take a $50,000 per year job, and you get a 2% annual cost of living increase in salary. In 40 years, you'll be earning just over $110,000 per year. Sounds great, right? But because of inflation, what would cost you $2,800 today will cost you $110,000 in 40 years. That's not even anywhere close to minimum wage. That's living in a cardboard box wage. Your $50,000 job today in 40 years will basically make you homeless. So yeah, banks suck for saving money. Let's move on. What's the solution? Assets. Assets are the solution. What I call an asset is something that you can buy today that retains its value over decades and even centuries. You want a good example? 2,000 years ago, I could use an ounce of gold, to buy a very nice and expensive suit. Today, I can sell an ounce of gold and use the cash to buy a very nice and expensive suit. So instead of stashing that $10,000 in the bank for your grandkids, you had bought $10,000 worth of gold and stashed it away, your grandkids in 50 years might still be able to buy the same stuff you could buy today. So I think I just answered the main question about how to save money. Buy and hold things that retain their value over decades or even centuries. But what can you buy that retains its value over time? Obviously, gold is one thing, based on the stuff I just talked about. Bitcoin is, in my opinion, one of the best ways to retain value. But if you don't plan on holding it for at least 10 years, you probably shouldn't hold it at all. The volatility will ruin you. Now here's something else to think about. You already know, thanks to my math earlier, that a gallon of milk is going to cost $25 in 20 years, right? And in 20 years, you'll still be buying and drinking milk, right? So why not invest in the companies that produce milk? And not just milk, but anything that you buy today that you know you will still be buying in 20 years from now. It stands to reason that stock prices of companies that will still be around regardless of inflation will also rise with inflation. This is not financial advice, but do some research on your own and see for yourself. Assuming we still have gas-powered cars 20 years from now, I'll be paying at least $25 for a gallon of gas. That being the case, wouldn't it make sense to own stock in companies that produce gas? Toilet paper, baked beans, tires, light bulbs, the little plastic thingies that keep your loaf of bread sealed, and so on and so forth. Companies that make that kind of stuff ain't going nowhere anytime soon. They'll be around in 20 years doing the same stuff they're doing today, and their stock prices will hopefully keep up with or maybe even outpace inflation. Are you starting to get the picture? Cash sucks. Buy things with your cash that retain their value. Your grandkids will thank you. There's other stuff you can do too. You can open a self-directed Roth IRA and use it to buy stocks, cryptos, etc. through the IRA. So not only do your assets retain their value, but you won't have to pay taxes on them when you cash them out at retirement age. Check the links in the description below for more information. There's also ways that you can borrow against your assets when you need cash, so you're not having to sell your assets for cash. Again, check the links in the description below for more information. So that's it. That's the secret. Buy stuff that retains its value over decades and centuries. I know it took forever to get here, but it was really important that you get the big picture about how holding cash in the bank does nothing for you. Okay, quick summary before I wrap it up. Banks suck. Cash sucks. Inflation literally sucks your cash away. Salaries can't keep up with inflation, so they kind of suck too. The only way to keep up with inflation is to own stuff that at a minimum retains its value over time. Do your own research and figure out which types of assets work best for your taste. Personally, I like Bitcoin and precious metals, but over time I will likely own stocks as well. So here's what I'm doing, and I suggest you do something similar. Number 1, spend less than you earn. Do I really have to spell that out for you? Okay. Number 2, save what's left by buying assets that retain their value, preferably in an instrument like a self-directed Roth IRA. Number 3, only keep enough cash in the bank to pay bills and for an emergency. Number 4, smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm. Right. Anyway, that's it. That's all I have for now. I hope that this video was entertaining, educational, and maybe even empowering to you. Be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Click the bell icon to receive notifications when we post new content. I am Tony Manzo, CEO of Oddbeaker LLC. We entertain, educate, and empower anyone who is willing. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.